So, willkommen zurück welcome back after lunch. Bit of English here, we need that. Great, we are back for cutting edge NEOS in mission critical applications. And it's not only mission critical, but we got an upgrade for this talk. We just have not one speaker, but we have a panel of 4 speakers that all can speak to NEOS in mission critical applications from different perspectives. So what is there not to like? We have Alexander Lehn from 3M5. We have Stefan Wedekamp from Cornelsen Verlag. We have Nicholas Gray from Vogel Communications. I'm sorry. Und Norbert Gierlich from Markenbeschleuniger. Give them a warm welcome.
Thank you very much. Should I go on with English, or should we just stay in one single language? No, we'll stay in English. Thanks for joining us. As you just heard, it's a little surprise. Alex was in the program, but you have 3 experts actually. I'm sort of the host on this panel. So I will ask all the questions. Hopefully you would like to have them answered to these experts on stage, and we want to discuss the topic that NEOS is a highly relevant solution for mission-critical applications. So Alex will be my co-host. So the first question will be into your direction. Alex, why did you choose this topic, and why is NEOS actually highly relevant for mission-critical applications?
Okay, good afternoon from my side also. I hope you enjoyed your meal and did a bright smile on the drone picture. It's great to see so many people here for this topic, because I think we are here in an open source community, but it's very relevant that we think about the business implications of our CMS system that we built. And my name is Alexander. I'm CTO at 3M5, and we are working with NEOS for many years now, and I think for us it's a very relevant system. Before I introduce the 2 guests, he did it for me. I will set the stage. Cutting edge, NEOS in mission critical application. What do we mean with that? It's a typical buzzword, mission critical. You hear it all the time in the web, and it's used in different circumstances. So for us, it means if you are hosting a website, and it doesn't matter if your customer hits refresh and goes away, this is not what we mean. What we mean is when you drive NEOS at the core of your business, and if there are some downtimes, it implies costs for your business. If you have errors, it's not. It's very relevant, and if performance is a requirement for your website, this is mission critical for us. So there's a common prejudice about this, if NEOS can handle this. And on the other hand, we see many businesses driving NEOS as their core system. So this is our topic today. We want to talk about why can NEOS handle all these things. In our conversation, we have 2 companies here. They rely on NEOS for many years now, and I think they can give us real experiences, insights, and maybe some takeaways for this panel discussion. So let me welcome Stefan Wedekamp from Cornelsen and Nicholas Gray from Vogel Communications Group.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. So, of course, as everybody knows, on a free will basis, you normally don't switch a content management system, right? It costs you money, drives your nerves, kills your team, hopefully not. But at a certain point, you're probably in the process of decision-making, evaluating different tools, different systems. And my question, maybe to start with you, Nicholas, would be, who was the person in the driver's seat? You know, was this actually coming more from the editor side? Was it more coming from the IT side? And how did you evaluate the different solutions?
Well, I would put it this way. The driver was the business side, not a single department, but what we see is that the only constant in our business is change, and we saw that with the systems we had running before NEOS, we were constantly losing momentum, And we simply couldn't tolerate that going into the future, switching from print to digital. We needed a system which is a good team player in both horizons. And we also saw in the past with subsidiary companies that what happens if somebody pulls the contract on your CMS. So we needed something where we could say we need our own digital sovereignty for our content, which is our main business model. So we need a core system which can handle that.
Stefan, maybe the same question to you. How was your situation? Who was the driver, and how did you find the right solution, in this case, Neos?
Well, the answer in this case is not that simple. I give you a little bit of background because I was a kind of a PO at the time, but we weren't already really in that agile working style. It just came with Neos and with the first generation, what we built then, and we had a kind of a landscape of legacy content, tons of it, different sites for anything, different sites for mobile versions, and all built with formerly we had 6 CMS, kind of similar to Typo 3, and it was only usable for editor experts, for power users, and the sheer mass of it was not like migratable anymore, because in all that stuff you couldn't identify clear categories of things. And so in our case, 2 guys, Jürgen Messner and Stefan Müller-Höhne, 2 developers, went out to evaluate and look at systems, and so they found Neos and made the first contacts, and that's the way we came to that.
And you were convinced right away when they came back and told you about the system?
Yes, they let me change that demo version, and I was the first one to try the inline editing things that I didn't know before, and it was so cool. Yes, and by the way, nobody ever used that cutting edge thing for us. I was a little bit, in German we would say gebauchpinselt. Yes, I mean it was a big project, but that's a great word. But yes, and we had to start with a big bang, because we had to integrate all the products that we had from the first step on. So there was no sneak in, but it was like, we had to go for it.
Let me just grab the Big Bang thing. So what were your major concerns before going live, or before making the decision that you go with Neos? As you described earlier, you had so many systems with different CMSs out there up and running.
Yes, I mean, we were in a kind of dead end what the further development was like, and I think it was 2017 or something. We weren't ready for all these screen sizes and all that. We weren't responsive at the time. There were more and more coming, like ubiquitously to be implemented features like SEO. We had that crude routing just with IDs and no sluggy or anything that people could read. Yes, and that wouldn't have been possible at the time to implement it parallel in like 4 or 5 or 6 different technical environments.
How was it in your case, Nicholas?
We had a luxury that we could use a smooth transition, and we basically spread the rollout over all of our brands. We used one of our newly acquired subsidiary companies, so you're going to be our first test subject. Let's see how it works. So that was a fun time because all of the other departments came to us and said, hey, we have new employees and they don't get an account for this and this system. And I said, yeah, be calm, that's on purpose. We're going to try something new with them, but please don't tell them. We don't know if it works yet. But turns out it worked out of the box and it worked very smoothly. And after that, we basically made a plan to switch 3 to 4 brands per week, and completed it within 2 or 3 months for one of the main product lines, which are our newsletters. So we don't only use Neos for websites, we use them as general distribution tool for several channels, be social media, our newsletter, or of course our websites too. And at the first thought, we thought, okay, how are we going to get the people onto it? What sort of training do they need? We were new to the system. We didn't really know what happened. So, of course, we had our support people trained, ready to go for the first ticket. And after the second day, nothing came. And we said, okay, I think we're done. Cool. Let's go and party. Yeah, but the transition is still ongoing. Especially, we have 2 main product lines, and we will finish the one product line probably end of this year, and the other probably a little bit earlier, around the 3rd quarter or so. And the ideas, of course, plenty how we're going to continue, but I would say both product line would be feature complete at the end of this year, and then we can really drive and push the system to new ideas.
Great. Who does the new system please more, the IT or the editors? Maybe you want to start?
Yeah, maybe to name some numbers for dimensions. In the one systems, we have around 300 editors, but not only like within the editorial teams, but also marketing people who do landing pages, campaign management, so all sorts of different people with a different set of creativity, with different requirements and a different knowledge base. And introducing a new system always, I mean, for most of the people, it wasn't the first new system they needed to adapt. And it went more or less really smooth, but of course there are people who prefer the old system, but it's sneaking out. So what we didn't see prior, before introducing Neos, was people switching to the new system on a voluntary basis before we scheduled them.
Stefan?
Wow, 300 people using the system. That's a very big number. I mean, as in our case, it was a real relaunch project. We had like 25, 30 power users shifting all the content into the new system. And the number hasn't grown yet because the kind of publishing is like that. We have some power users which I belong to, and one guy from the marketing, and we normally do the testing if features are new and to handle that, or in the refinements to define how things to be handled. Can somebody understand it? Things like that. Yes, and they liked it from the first place, but I think the more liked it the developers, because, I mean, it might not wonder anybody that big problems in old economy, big projects and old economy contexts are sometimes a little bit strangely managed. And the project ran into nearly a total catastrophe, and the last card that was pulled out of the pocket was, let's try and let the developers do. And that was the turning point of the project. The developers did. The developers had support from a guy in the management that had also a technical background, and they contacted, I think via Slack, Flow Native, the guys, and For the rest of the time in the project, that was not enough. So we had a network team on board, and so we had a quite big project with a real good drive and a real fast implementation of anything. My thanks belong to the guys that invented that, because I was on parental leave at the time. And when
Perfect timing.
when I got back, the boat was already in full speed, and I showed up and tried to, had every day red ears from the tempo that all the devs made, because they needed refined tickets to do stuff. Yeah, but it was a nice time. It was like really getting into it, and it was with the community. An absolute pleasure to work.
So you came back and had to bring some champagne because they were already delivering.
Yeah.
Alex, from your perspective, how is it in other industries? Because we have two publishers, like educational focus and more special interest focus.
Yeah.
But I know you have other customers working with Neos as well. How is it in their case?
Yeah, our first project was in another industry, because it's a little bit funny thing, because my first contact to Neos was when we did, we had to evaluate different systems for our customers. It was SolarWatt in Dresden, and they had to choose a new content management system, because they had a very complex stack with some HubSpots, microsite, standard website, and it was not very good, because they couldn't handle all their ambitious growth goals they had by the time. And I did the evaluation project with them, and there were 3 candidates. One of them was Neos and one Typo, and we did a really large list of requirements and large Excel sheet with all the scores there. Neos was on 2nd place, but at the end, all the editors decided we use Neos. And that was the part when we started with Neos, and this was in the renewable energy market.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're entering our next module, because when I did some research prior to this talk, I got the feeling that there are some storytelling legends out there in the market that Neos actually is probably more or less very, very good if it's a small company, mid-sized company, small project. I don't think so. But I wanted to discuss this with you guys today. So could you tell us and share some insights about the scope of your project? You already mentioned some numbers of editors and stuff, but maybe you could also share some insights about contents, uploads, everything that's really on the operative side.
Sure. Yeah, I was kind of shocked when I heard that prejudice about Neos, and that rumors still exist, because if you really look at the architecture, it's a solid base. It is aimed for that you can split the development process over different teams. It has rights management. You have the different workplaces. You have basically everything already in place out of the box, which would already support a more advanced workflow. So in our case, we looked at it. We also had a long list of requirements before choosing the system, and we were really able to mark the check boxes and say, yeah, okay, that probably is a really good candidate. Let's take a closer look at it. And fast forward to now, so 4 years or 3 years after, our 2 main product lines, both run between, the one has 1.4 million nodes, the other has about 2 million nodes now. Both systems are scheduled to hold 250,000 document nodes in a total during their runtime, which would probably result into 10 to 11 million nodes. So that's going to be an interesting turning point at some point, I'm pretty sure, but it's not that another system would simply take that amount of content too. So we're, let's say, already aware of some performance issues, and we can work together with the community on that. I'm really happy to do so. And we also know from experience where we can turn the knobs to also overcome that in NEOS. So that's that. What else can I say regarding numbers? Newsletters, during the 3 years, since that is now our main system to build newsletters, our editors built over 21,000 newsletters, which were sent to I don't know how many million subscribers. And that is really, it sits at the core of our business model, and every downtime would result in a huge effort to get it running as quickly as possible. And yeah, so we seeked help, we made contact to other companies, but we really never had to pull the card. Well, just runs.
So I think we can agree that it's cutting edge. And it's definitely all right to be in a mission-critical application environment. Stefan, what about your insights?
Yeah, I think we as I said, we started big. I cannot put it into the level of nodes, but over the time we have like 60,000 pages and more on the web, like product pages and campaign sites and all that stuff. Most of it like from automated processes from the systems from like PIM and the SAP and so on, the more business systems. And yeah, we had, I don't remember that we had any kind of real problems or kind of breakdowns or something like that. We were always stable. I think also the what is lying under NEOS. I mean, you notice I'm not a technician, but the Keller of all of that was always sized in a way that the application could run smoothly, and NEOS didn't make any problems in that. There are more problems with downtimes from systems like SAP or the CRM. So, but yeah, you depend on them.
Alex, maybe one question into your direction regarding the repositories you normally work with.
Yeah. I think NEOS did some very good architectural decisions when designing the system, because typically our customers prefer a system where they can build their own content model without problems. So this is one of the strengths of NEOS, because we can build the content model of the customer. We can sync between different data sources without problems. And I think the new content repository told us today in this morning will be a very great step. And yeah, I think the strengths and the sweet spot of NEOS is when you have very complex structural data and have to sync it between different data sources, because this and the possibility to use it as a headless system is very, very great for most of our customers.
Taking a look at the enterprise ecosystem you have set up and running out there, how many other applications do you have connected to yours? You mentioned some, but maybe you can just give us like an outlook. That doesn't have to be the precise number. But I found it very interesting when we had our prior talk before the day that it's quite some.
Yeah, it sure is. Since content is our main business model, everything evolves around content. And that was one of our main requirements in searching for a system which acts as a good team player, because we knew from the beginning that certain tasks won't be suitable for a CMS and will never be. And so we followed the approach, choosing the right tools, putting them together, and build a process which fits the requirement the business need best, even though it may mean some people work in two systems, but if we manage the transitions between those two systems in a user-friendly manner, it's usually not a problem. So for us, it's connected to Microsoft Dynamics, to SAP, to the old content management system. We run a two-stack architecture for both of our main product lines, so it obviously needs to be connected to the online distribution channel, to the social media distribution channels, to the newsletter suppliers. So I would guess around 10 to 15 systems. And to some systems to more than one endpoint, which are used by different units of our company.
Stefan, what about you?
Yeah, we have kind of a different model. There are 3 systems that are integrated in one surface, one user interface. It's coming from Neos, and we have like the account application we call Konto, which is represented in a widget that is on every page, and we have like on the product pages a price box where a Magento shop with all that is integrated, and we have some. In my preparation, I thought, how do I call that? Like middleware or buffer systems, because when we first launched, we had a very, very old catalog system where we needed the product data from, and the metadata and all the things that you could get from there were like hell. So we decided to build an own application, the product API, called PAPI in our context, and it's still running. Yes, and that functions as a kind of a buffer to all the systems before. In the meantime, the only programmer this catalog system has is retired, and there was invented a PIM, also not the best system you can get, and the PAPI still serves us the data. And we are also connected via a separate front end for the search, and we are in the second generation of integrating a separate external search. And yeah, all the things to the CRM and with the customer data is managed by the Konto application, which we also just integrate by the widget. It's, I think, an architectural approach that the guys invented then when we started, and up to now it proved right to do so.
Alex, maybe one insight from your side.
Yeah, you told most of the applications in enterprise that will be used as like Salesforce ERP system like SAP, and the most problematic tools we are integrating is normally the product information system, because this are so huge base of different systems, and they are all, what you described, Stefan, very old. You cannot access it directly. You have to do some some intermediate stuff, some API, some caching between them, or you have to synchronize in the night between the systems, where you have then many gigabyte of data to transform and to sync, and this is mostly the problem. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, but I forgot the assets.
There you go. Your time is now.
We have a central asset management system, and by the time it was invented, also the rights management and all the rights editing stuff was done there. And so we had special built by the Neos core people that we needed an adapter for importing the assets and not allowing to upload them in the back end. So we could always be safe if the assets come from there, rights have to be clear and everything is fine. And well, that was a kind of an Arbeitspaket then.
Okay, got it. So we're moving to the next module, which is workflow. How much customizing was or is still needed working with NEOS in your, in my eyes, very special industries?
That's really hard to answer because basically the complexity is driven by the business model, not because the CMS as a system doesn't provide like functions to copy, paste, to write text or so. So for us, the complexity is really in representing our content model, which NEOS handles really well, but some nodes are simply very complex, what they need to handle, how they need to be configured. But that's on us, that's not on the system. And speaking from further customization, we try to pull a lot out of the core from NEOS because we say NEOS is good for content, but some of the processes we pull out. And here we're currently in the transition phase where we want to move to online first and also feed the print system from the online content instead of the other way around as we did in the past. And that's also our business model. It's not really that NEOS needs much customization because there are a lot of extensions and you can quickly build a prototype, and sometimes you may notice, okay, fun story, the first complaints we got was about the date picker because they said, yeah, I need to set maybe 10 to 20 dates per hour, and always clicking in 5 minutes intervals is not doable. So that was one of the main tasks for one of our interns. Please replace that inspector or that editor. Worked fine. And of course, the further we will push the system and integrate it to new processes, there will certainly come new use cases, new requirements where we need to change the thing or few, but nothing where I would say I'm missing so much to get started. Now, everything is more like an optimization, for example, where the community is also working on is batch processing for image tagging, for the copyright notice, and so on. That is essential for us because we simply handle a lot of content per hour. And yeah, maybe in that direction, my wish list would be longer, but it's definitely not a showstopper.
Actually, I have the wish list thing here on my card, so we're heading there. Stefan.
Yeah, the workspaces were kind of misused in our context. When we had like big changes with changes to many pages at the same time, and there was a kind of let's say, a more academic approach to using the workspaces. It was like complicated. And they did all in one workspace, and it grew bigger and bigger, and that was the only point where we once had some kind of problems that were critical in saving all that, and there were pages put from there to there and from different sides, and so that was like a bit too much for it. But I think we found a way to deal with kind of that in just using the workspaces in another way, just making them smaller for more special purposes. And yeah, but it was a little bit like experimenting, and I would think if you do projects with NEOS and you know who the people are who will work, maybe they also have to do manual migration, then you should coach them into how to use the things and not just trust on they will find out. That didn't work out in our case.
You highlighted earlier that it was not that hard to get the people on board, especially the editors, because it was more convenient, more easier to understand, like, I don't know, other systems. So in that case, you didn't have to educate that much or to train. But I think you said that earlier that actually they wanted the system and because they had less work. So in that case, could you like make up a a number or a percentage of how much money or time the system saves you compared to the system you had before? You don't have to tell us which system it was before, but I would assume that it's always time and material, right? So if you're faster and if your people love the system, you're more efficient. The more efficient you are, the more margin you have normally.
I really can't put it in financial numbers, but what we do, of course, since our editors work in-house, we can do extensive user tests with screen tracking, eye tracking, click tracking. And to edit a link in the old system, there was a total of 12 clicks needed. And if you look at, we call it an advertorial, which is basically a report or a piece of writing we do for a customer. Of course, you have the links to their product page, you have a lot of links in that single piece of text, and that was simply too cumbersome. And with Neos, it's easy, you mark it, you click the link symbol, and with the new link editor, you're even more flexible on what you can allow the editor to do. And restricting content where it goes is probably another main point, which makes especially new employees feel more safe because they don't have the feeling, oh, I can mess something up, because the system can take care for them if you design the node types properly. And that led to a significant decrease of tickets in our service desk, because in the old system, a lot of elements needed to be copy-pasted from a pattern library directly of HTML, and I guess you can all know it doesn't work well, and an opening or closing tag will be forgotten to be pasted. Those problems are gone. We no longer have those, and that also impacts, of course, service desk and our support team directly. And then we have our marketing, which is hard to put into a context, because every time they had like special wishes, they would usually contact one of our sister teams where we have dedicated CSS and layouters, and they needed to come up with something. So we have also, similar to the one talk we heard prior, components which are very modular and can be configured rather than newly built. And that saves a lot of time and a lot of inter-team communication. But that's really hard to put into a financial aspect.
Stefan.
For me, it's also hard to I don't know where to start. Since we invented Neos, we do so many things so much better. You can't put that in real numbers. I give you one example. It's like we have made the header and the footer of the whole web page and the CDCI that you need, and at some point we invented that they can be used by other systems too. Just the small changes in the footer in former times was a little project. You are totally rid of that, and we just checked which parts should be editable via backend, and then you can edit the absolute central ubiquitous shown footer. The same we did with all the legal pages with AGB and all that legal stuff that you need to be clear with, like for example, versioning for the legal pages, so that you have all the development in time. We have instant publishing if needed. Formerly, we had weekly process of synchronizing the system. I mean, it was okay if you design your content editing process, for example, like a weekly magazine. It's okay to have once a week synchronization. If you spot that there is some mistakes and you have to wait for a week, for a school book company, not so good. So all these things we now can do immediately. Yes, and so also the publishing process has adapted that. I can't put that in numbers, but it saves an amount of money.
Well, there's your message. It doesn't have to be financial number. Alex, maybe one or two sentences. How easy is it to set up a system with Neo? Because because we know with other systems it's much more difficult.
For me, the important part is when we introduce the system by the customer, then it's for us. There's no time to bring the editors in rework because it's so easy for them. They feel very good in the UI in the back end, and we don't need very much coaching time for them. And that's one very big point against other systems. And yeah, I think that's the major point for us when we introduce this system. But one thing I forgot was the when I compare it to other systems, then one major point is that Neos is so very fast when doing a new upgrade to a new version. Because when I compare it to Typo, we always have this kind of project. If we have a minor update or a major update, then it's much more. And Neos is very good in this. Yeah, that's very important.
Regarding the update 8 to 9, what are your plans? Are you ready or are you chilled?
Getting ready, I would say. There's still a couple of points missing until we can really consider making the move. I mean, I mentioned that we plan to be feature complete regarding our business cases by the end of the year, so we're going to write that with Neos 8.3, 8.4. So 8.4 would definitely be the lay in between we're going to take, get things ready. But until then, we definitely need a post-process adapter. We need some more security features. So I guess maybe next year I can tell you more about how we proceeded to there. But I think it's not going to be until the end of 27 or so that we're going to migrate.
We are a little bit afraid.
That's why I asked.
Yeah, I mean, we planned it to be fast with that, and then other big projects, took away the budget for it, and we have to go step by step. I mean, I'm really a little bit afraid of doing it for the big thing, which is called the web catalog. And I think what we will do is we have some small sites where we can run tests to just have it in like in one. Cornelsen Group is one site that is small, and we can check there how to proceed, and then maybe next year, I don't know.
All right. So we're coming to questions from the audience. I wanted to ask if there are questions which have been coming in through the app. Okay. Good.
But does anyone have a question?
Feel free.
You brought your beach towel already. Yes, so if you compare it to other projects using, maybe you remember old other systems, or you know from customers using other systems, what can you say about how it performs, like hosting-wise? Yeah, you know, does it scale well? Do you have anything which you can remark in that side, how it behaves compared to others? That would be very interesting.
Yeah.
I can start. Basically, we designed the system so that it can run within our Kubernetes cluster. So one of the requirements is that it is more or less stateless. So for asset management, we use the S3 connector. We run 3 instances in the cluster. So we need all of the session management in a Redis cluster. We have a lot of clusters of the different technologies, but it integrated very well to the stack which has been there prior, and it didn't require our operations team to learn new technologies or to fiddle a lot with the configuration of the supporting systems. We had one problem with the Postgres ones because it's a little bit, if you put a large structure like HTML directly in one of the document nodes as a property, Postgres will start to parse that on every lookup, and that kind of knocked us off, but the error was quickly identified, and then we simply moved that property to one of the child nodes. Everything was fine again. If I compare it to other systems, I would say it allows out of the box to scale better, also with caching strategies. And so, I mean, in our case, since we have the Q stack in front of it, we never have the problem that the downtime of the new system would affect our customer-facing products. And we can also take it down, do maintenance when our editors are sleeping or off work. And it just fits well in that sort of architecture. And with other systems, for example, I won't name it, that would be a lot more difficult because no open interfaces for proprietary software, for example. But even for open software, it's like so tightly coupled functions and processes that it would be really hard to break it up at those points where we see we need here a higher state of robustness or a higher state of performance, which would be really hard for a system to achieve when you also want to do all of the editing.
I cannot answer that one. And I shouldn't do.
All good. Alex?
Yeah. I did not hear anything bad about that, but we have many developers from our side here, so we can discuss later. But I think the caching of the nodes is a very good thing, and maybe this is because it works very well.
Yeah, normally in a presentation you should end with one more thing, right? The one more thing we won't touch due to time is the fuck-up moments. But the fuck-up moments can be shared with these guys during the dinner, Alex, right?
Yeah,
because all three of you will be still available.
Yeah, you find us at the bar, I think, at the end of the day.
Drinking them down.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Some anecdotes left.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you very much for joining. Thanks for the insights. Thanks for preparing the stage. Thanks you guys for hosting us. And feel free to contact these three guys because they know the game. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Also from my side, thanks a lot, guys. Great that you organized this panel. Super helpful insights, I would say. Some numbers I hadn't heard before, amazing. So that was great. We have one speaker package. I will give it to you, but we organized these for all of you. So
Also,
there you go.
That's a package.
It's yours.
Den kriegst du.
Oh,
Komm, hier hast du
I got the time.
we will continue with the next talk at 3 o'clock. In the meantime, remember to consider giving a lightning talk. Anke is approachable. Talk to her. If you have any side projects, any fun ideas to show to us as a community, that would be great. And don't forget to rate this talk as well. Thank you.